Shout out to y'all. The support for me being announced as host of After the Final Rose has been overwhelmingly supportive. Bachelor Nation, please welcome me with open arms. I promise to do y'all proud.
Author and host Emmanuel Acho is set to replace Chris Harrison on After the Final Rose this season, and we're breaking down all the details. Hey guys, welcome back to another Shared News from Home. We have to talk about this hosting choice, but before we get into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Gabby Gonta, and I'm joined by the lovely Mariah Davis today. Okay, we have been waiting for the announcement of who will be temporarily replacing Chris Harrison on The Bachelor, and now we finally know. Former NFL player, author, and host Emmanuel Acho has been chosen as the host of the After the Final Rose for Matt James' season. Okay, Mariah, before we get into all the details about his background, I just want to know, what are your initial reactions to this hosting choice, especially since it's outside of Bachelor Nation?
I was kind of hoping that it would be someone outside of Bachelor Nation. I've got mad love for all of the people we kind of talked about that could potentially fill that role, but I thought it would be interesting to just see a new face and we get an outside perspective. We get to know them a little bit, but I was kind of like, okay, this is cool. Who is he? And so I did my research, and then it dawned on me all of the work that he did during the Black Lives Matter movement.
So if you want to know, how can you help? How can you stand with us? How can you stand with me? You must first educate yourself so you know exactly what you're standing for and why you're standing. Because the only way we can solve this issue is through exposure, through education, through compassion, and through empathy.
He was a best-selling author, so I think that this is a really good choice for them, especially in the current climate that they're in right now. This is what we all want to see. It's going to promote the type of conversation that the Bachelor franchise really needs to be initiating, so I'm excited to see what he brings to the table.
Definitely. Me too. You mentioned some of his background, so let's get into that. Emmanuel Acho is currently most known for his book titled Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man, which he has also turned into a video series interviewing big names like Matthew Mcconaughey and Chelsea Handler. He took to Instagram Saturday to confirm the news and his excitement, saying, quote, "It's official. I've accepted the rose and I'm honored to be hosting The Bachelor After the Final Rose this year. It's been a pivotal season, and this episode will hopefully be one of the most storied shows in TV history. Empathy is needed and change is coming. Share the news. I'll see y'all then." He added a little bit more about himself as well and ended the post saying, quote, "I love being a bridge for reconciliation. Our world is disconnected and divided. My goal is to unify." A press release also confirms that Emmanuel will be sitting down and speaking with, of course, Matt, but also the final three women, Brie, Michelle, and Rachael. So he does have quite the resume. He's clearly not afraid to have these tough conversations, like you were saying. But I'm curious, how far do we think he's going to push these interviews, right? Because Rachel's going to be in the hot seat, so is Matt, and we have the other two final three women. So how deep is he going to go? Do you think he's going to push these conversations or just stay surface level here?
I think he'll definitely push the conversations, and I think that's something that the Bachelor franchise hired him for. He mentioned his goal is to unify, so I don't think that he's going to be firing any shots at, Rachael, for example. I think that she's so far, since she started speaking out about things, she's done a good job at showing action rather than just making one initial statement. So I think he's going to continue to give her that opportunity to kind of speak for herself and correct past wrongdoings. I think he is going to kind of push the envelope, but not in a way that maybe we've seen so far, just by like the public kind of attacking. I think it's going to be a safe space where he's not going to tiptoe around any subject. He's going to give people the chance to address what they've done, what they've said in the past, and to make that right. So I'm excited to see how far he takes it. The one thing I don't know about him, I don't know what his personality is. I'm interested to see how lively he is, if he's going to be a jokester, if he's going to crack jokes. I mean, I don't know. I feel like from what I've seen about him or what I've read about him thus far, it's been more on kind of heavier topics, a little bit more serious of a note, which I think is great for what the franchise needs right now, especially given the current season that we've had. I'm excited to see that, but I'm hoping that he's a big personality, because I love that when we have like hosts. I feel like, yes, get into the deep and the serious, but then like to be able to quickly transition into something lighthearted and something we're all going to like kind of laugh about. I don't know. I think that's a talent that any host needs. So
Exactly. That's so true. I think if you want to get to know him a little better, his video series on Instagram, he does Instagram TVs about it. So it basically looks exactly like what an After the Final Rose would look like. He's sitting down with someone who maybe has a different perspective. He's kind of going through it. So I think that is a good way to like sort of see what we might be getting during the After the Final Rose. But overall, I agree with you. I think he's a great choice for this episode. I think, it was problematic from the beginning where even in the first episode, Matt James was coming to Chris Harrison for advice about how to be the first Black Bachelor, So there was kind of a disconnect there because Chris obviously has given great advice over the years to the lead as well as to the contestants. But in this case, he just couldn't relate to him on that level. So people were, upset with that from the beginning, saying we need someone with a Black perspective to have these conversations, to be the moderator here. So for that reason, I think he's going to do a great job. And I think over the course of this year and in the past, so many people of color and members of the BIPOC group, they've said, it's not our job to educate white people or to educate people who aren't on the same level or don't have our perspective, right? But I think what's so special about Emmanuel is that he loves doing that. Like, that's his goal. He chooses to be a host of these tough conversations. He wrote this book. He wants to unify. So I think if anyone's going to do it and be that leader for us, especially in this franchise, it's definitely going to be someone like him. Emmanuel is hoping that Bachelor Nation will welcome him with open arms and promises to make everyone proud, as he mentioned in a Twitter video on Saturday. So another question I have for you, Mariah, is he coming into this role with high standards set? Of course, we know Chris Harrison has always had a huge fan base backing him. He's been there for 20 years. Is this such a high standard? Are people going to be watching him and criticizing or looking for certain things to determine whether he did a good job here?
We are never going to please everybody. Not a single person on this planet is going to be winning over everybody else. So he's definitely going to have some people who are like haters who want to see Chris Harrison back. And you know what? To each their own. But I love that he's like, just give me a chance. That's already like starting off on the right foot. Just give me a chance. I'm going to do my best. I aim to unify. This particular franchise is so divided. Not even the franchise, but our country right now. So I think he's already off to the right foot. But yeah, you're never going to please everybody. There's going to be some haters. There's going to be some people who are like, I don't want to be out with the old and in with the new. But I'm really looking forward to seeing him. I think what we can definitely expect from Emmanuel is that because he is a new face and he's stepping into this role completely unbiased and previously unaffiliated. So I think we're going to see him more focused on those who participated and the viewers rather than coming from a production standpoint like Chris Harrison, because we know he has been the executive producer for The Bachelor for however long. So it's going to be nice, regardless of how you feel about it. It's going to be really nice to see someone step into that role who's just going to be a fresh face to it all.
Exactly. I'm also hoping that people aren't comparing him to Chris Harrison necessarily, because it's just a totally different perspective. And I do think we're going to get more questions asked and more things where we can get a fair side about what everybody has to say, rather than Chris, when he had that interview with Rachel Lindsay, he was defending Rachael Kirkconnell a little bit. So then if he was brought into the After the Final Rose scenario, like, who knows what type of questions he would have asked or what that vibe would be. But I really feel like Emmanuel is going to come with just an absolute clean slate, right? Even more so than if it were Rachel Lindsay, who everybody loves, and she's obviously a part of Bachelor Nation and has done so much work with trying to make the franchise more diverse. But at the same time, she's done so much that she's almost exhausted and feels like she just can't get away from trying and working so hard and being the only one speaking out. And so in that case, it's just, it's nice to have someone, like we were saying, outside of Bachelor Nation who isn't exhausted by the news. It doesn't have personal ties to it and is just, there to be a moderator. So overall, I definitely think this is a good choice. Much of Bachelor Nation thinks so as well. They have come to his support, voicing their excitement over the news as well. Matt himself commented on Emmanuel's Instagram saying, looking forward to it. Brian Abasolo, husband to Rachel Lindsay, who, as we were saying, was also rumored to be a contender for this hosting role, commented, "Happy for you, bro. I have no doubt you will do a fantastic job." Lots of other clapping and congratulations are also in the 4,000 plus comments. So people are clearly happy with this choice right now, but do we think it will turn into a permanent hosting gig? Of course, Chris Harrison says he's stepping away temporarily, so we needed a host for the After the Final Rose because that is coming up quickly, that filming. But if he does well, do we think Emmanuel will be the one that steps in permanently? I know people like Michael Strahan and Robin Roberts, they're also rumored to be considered right now. Who do we think is going to step into more of that permanent role at the moment?
I think whether or not we start assuming if Emmanuel is going to step into it permanently, it's really going to depend on how much people engage with him during After the Final Rose. If he's a huge success and we're all just like in love with him, wow, he did such a great job, which he will do a great job. I have no doubt about that. But we could just fall in love with him and think, I need to see this man every season for the rest of the franchise. That's kind of the experience that people had with Chris Harrison. You know, you kind of fell in love with the way that he made things happen. So it could be a possibility that we have the same experience with Emmanuel. But as far as other permanent hosting positions, I wouldn't mind seeing a woman step into this role. One thing I think I really liked about Chris Harrison that maybe a lot of people really like too is the fact that he was a little older. So it might be nice to see someone else who is a little bit more seasoned, has a little bit more wisdom to step into that role.
Those are all really great points, Mariah. I think it's important to consider age. We need someone who can give wise dating advice. I would also love to see a woman. I'm personally still pulling for JoJo Fletcher because she's been one of my favorites. And we saw her do a little bit of hosting during Tayshia's season. So that might be an option. I also think, why not have multiple hosts, right? There's multiple different iterations of the show. We could do a female host for The Bachelorette so they could connect and give advice there. We could do a male host for The Bachelor. We could do someone totally random for Bachelor in Paradise, maybe Wells Adams. He's really fun and young and just like exciting and would fit that show. So I think it would be great for them to just explore their horizons, totally reach out in Bachelor Nation, beyond Bachelor Nation, and just create this entirely new role for what we consider host of The Bachelor, right? Because Chris Harrison has done it all from the beginning, but why not, spread it out, spread the love, and change things up a little bit? I think we could definitely use that here. Another thing that we should consider also is in a permanent hosting role with The Bachelor, there's so much more of dealing with people, right? The lead and the contestants, they're going through some really tough times during this show. So you're going to be seeing them at their worst. They're going to be crying. They're going to be dealing with so much drama. So the host not only has to be someone like Emmanuel who can elicit tough conversations and really push people, you have to be someone really warm and just approachable and ready to deal with all the craziness that happens in a season. So I think they're going to be considering that as well while looking forward. All right, you guys, that is all we have to share with you with this hosting update. Of course, we're going to be keeping an eye out on any Bachelor breaking news that happens, but we want to know your thoughts. So let us know in the comments, what do you think of this choice for After the Final Rose, and who do you think should take Chris's spot permanently? Leave a comment before you go, and make sure you subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. I'm Gabby Gonta, and I was joined by Mariah Davis today. You can follow us at our social handles on the screen right now. Come say hi, and we'll see you next time.